La Yasha Allah. Majim, which means to stand. Upon Hakodam, which means to turn and face the east. This is the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. Started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We're under Commanding General Yohana, and this is ISUPK, Louisiana, Sabbath service. Upon Hakodam, which means to turn and face the east. We're going to say the prayers first in the Hebrew, and then in the English. We'll say the Lord's Prayer. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwaka, Taba'a, Ratazaka, Hayah, Asha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashamayim, Nathanlanawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalaknawa, Kabawatnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabawat Yanawa, Wala'a, Tabayayanawa, Vanasayawan, Abal, Hawashayanawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Hamalakwa, Waha Salaki, Waha Allah, Waha Tapara, La Iwalamyam, Aman. And in the English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever, so be it. Hakak, the power. In the Hebrew, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Babakashah, Nathanlanawa, Hakak, Larapa'ah, Kal Maka'ala, Wakal Madawa, Hakak, Latahar, Ha Matazarayim, Hakak, La Hakwa, Salaki, La Hakwayam, Ha Matayam, Hakak, Al Rakarwa, Ha Tama'ala, Lagarshan, Ba'ashem Yahushai, the water of man. In the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahushai, thank you, so be it. Blessings. Barakatah Yahweh wa Yahushai, wa Makaya Allah, wa Allah Yahayim. Matazab Yah, Alawap Yahana, Ha Alawapyam, Ha Saranyam, Ha Kwatazayanyam, Ha Kayayayam, Kayayalanyam, Wa Ha Akwakyam, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai, the water Aman. In the English, bless you, Yahweh, and Yahushai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yohana, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, thank you, so be it. Psalms 121 in Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Haharyam, Ma'ayan, Yaba'ah, Azariah, Ma'ain, Yahweh, Asha'ah, Salaki, Aisha, Shamayam, Wa'arataza, Yatan, Lamawat, Regalka, Yanawam, Shamarka, Hana La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yayashan, Shawamar, Yasha'ala, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al Yad, Yamyanka, Yamawam, Shalaki, Yawamam, Hashemash, La'a Hakaka, Wayarak, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Makal Rai, Yashamar, Atnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Tazaatka, Wabawaka, Wabawaaka, Ma'aid, Wa'aid Awalam. In the English, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from which cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Psalms 83. Alahayim, al damayalaka, al takarash, wa al dashikwat, al kayahana, awa a wayayabka, yahama, yawam, ra'ash, al amaka, Ya'ira Yamwa, Sawada, Wayata, Ya'ita Zawa, Al Pawanyaka, Amarwa, Lakawa, Wanakakidam, Magalia, Wala'a, Yazakar, Sham Yasha'ala, Iwada, Kaya, Nawa'itazawa, Laba, Lakadwa, Al Yaka, Baryath, Yakarathwa, Ahalia, Adawam, Washamai, Shalaki, Yashamai, Aliyam, Mawa'aba, Wahagar Yam, Gabal, Wa'aimawam, Ma'aimawan, Salaki, Wa'aimalak, Palashat, Aim Yashabia, Tazawar, Gam Ashawar, Nalawa, I'm Hayawa, Zarawai, Labanya Lawat, Salah, Aisha Laham, Kamadian, Kasaya, Saraya, Kayabian, Banakal, Hoyashwan, Nasham Madawa, Ba'ayan, Da'ara, Hayawa, Daman, La'adama, Shayatam Wa, Nada, Yab, Mawa, Ka'ira, Waka Za'ab, Salaki, Waka Za'aba, Waka Zabak, Waka Taza, Salaki, Waka Tazal, Mana'ai, Kal, Nasayakam, Wa, Ashar, Amarwa, Nayar, Rasha, Nayar Rasha, Lanawa, Ath, Na'awath, Alahayam, Alahaya, Shayatamwa, Kagalgala, Kakwash, Lapanya, Rawaka, Kaash, Taba'ira, Ya'ira, Wakala Haba, Talahat, Haryam, Khan, Taradatma, Basa'ira Kaya, Salaki, Basa'ai, Raka, Wabasa, Wapatka, Tabaha Alam, Mala'a, Panyaham, Kwalawan, Waya Bakwashwa, Shemka, Yahweh, Yabashwa, Waya Bahala, Salaki, Waya Bahalwa, Idya Id, Waya Kaparwa, Waya Abadwa, Waya Da'aiwa, Kaya Atha, Shemka, Yahweh, Labadka, Al Yawan, Al Kal Ha'arataza. In the English, keep not thy silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites, of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gebal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot, Selah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisir, as to Jabin, as to the brook, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zaid, yea, all their prince as Zabah and as Zamunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. O my God, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Lord. Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the Most High over all the earth. Sar, which means to turn. You may be seated. All right, Israel. Shalom Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah Barakatham to the brothers. Shalom Yahweh Shema Alathan Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah to the sisters. I'm priest and officer 1000, ISUPK, Louisiana. This is the ISUPK, Louisiana Saturday Sabbath class. We're going to get it in, man. We left off last week. Salaki. We left off last week going over, finishing up 2 Samuel. In 2 Samuel, we was reading and going over how King David's sons were attempting to take over the kingdom from him, trying to take over the position of being the king. Absalom, with the help of other Israelites, I think Joab and some other brothers, the northern kingdom, Israel was trying to assist them with taking over. And King David had men that were faithful to him and assisted him in making sure that they didn't do so. But now we're going into the book of 1 Kings. Today we're going to go over 1 Kings chapter 1 through chapter 7. And where we left off, King David had just gotten back to the kingdom, to Jerusalem, and he had to end up fighting, pretty much having a civil war, Israel against Israel, because of the fact that there was some things going on. They didn't like what was going on. Israel and Judah was back and forth with each other, basically the northern kingdom and southern kingdom. This is the beginning of the split, of pretty much how they are against one another. So we're going to get right back into it. We also left off where King David was beginning to get sick. He went into battle. I believe it was against the Philistines, and it was a harsh battle for him. And then some of his mighty men went out, told him that he didn't need to go to war anymore because they could handle it, and they were very capable of doing so. Also, King David ended up counting the children of Israel, which was against the commands of the Lord, because he was no longer supposed to do that. And when he did that and sinned against the Lord gave him an option of 3 things that he could choose from, but he had to choose one. One was famine in the land for 7 years. The other one was 3 days of pestilence or disease. And the third one was, what was the third one? Let me see. Famine, pestilence. Oh, and flee 3 months before his enemies. So David ended up choosing the pestilence. He chose the pestilence for 3 days. And out of those 3 days, 70,000 Israelites died. 70,000. That's a lot. 70,000 men, it says, died. That's in verse 15 of 2 Samuel, the 21st chapter. 70,000 Israelites died. And King David repented for what he had done because he knew he had sinned against the Lord. Well, we're going to start off in the book of 1 Kings. And Israel, bear with us. I do understand and know that during the Sabbath class, we are supposed to read it in Hebrew per ISUPK protocols. But because of the fact that we don't have readers and other brothers in the class, I do just read it in the English until the Lord allowed that we are able to have brothers to come up to be able to do that in the class. So again, we will just be reading in English. The book of 1 Kings, we're going to start at chapter 1. The book of 1 Kings, chapter 1 and verse 1. Now King David was old and stricken in years, and they covered him with clothes, but he got not heat. Wherefore his servant said unto him, let there be sought for my lord the king a young virgin, a young unmarried woman, or a woman that's of marriageable age. And let her stand before the king, and let her cherish him, and let her lie in the bosom of that Salagi, let her lie in thy bosom, that my lord the king may get heat. So they sought for a fair damsel throughout all the coast of Israel, and found Abishag, a Shunammite, and brought her to the king. And the damsel was very fair, and cherished the king, and ministered to him, but the king knew her not. So David didn't marry her. Even in his old age, he didn't marry her, even she was a beautiful sister, fairest in the land. That part where it says he knew her not means that he did not lie with her to have intercourse with her, to marry her. Verse 5. Then Adonijah, the son of Haggith, exalted himself, saying, I will be king. And he prepared him chariots and horsemen, and 50 men to run before him. Now, this was King David's son. This is his son just taking it upon himself to make himself the king. Even though King David had not publicly made him king or publicly announced that he would be king, he took it upon himself to just say, I'm going to be the next king. And he gathered him some men and chariots, and let's see what happened. Verse 6, and his father had not displeased him at any time in saying, why hast thou done so? And he also was a very goodly man, and his mother bare him after Absalom. So this is Absalom's brother, same dad, same mom. King David, the father, and they got the same mom. Absalom was the other brother that wanted to take over and sought to overthrow or create a mutiny against his father, King David, as well. So this is his little brother, Adonijah. All right, and Adonijah thinking that it's okay because King David did not say he was displeased with the fact that he had done so. King David didn't even know it, basically. But he thought because his father didn't say, you're not going to be the king, stop what you're doing, let those men and my servants go back to doing what they were doing, he thought it was okay to do what he had done, which was he's proclaiming himself to be the king. Verse 7, and he conferred with Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and with Abiathar, the priest, and they followed Adonijah, helped him. They following Adonijah helped him. But Zadok the priest and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and Nathan the prophet, and Shimei and Rai, and the mighty men which belonged to David were not with Adonijah. And Adonijah slew sheep and oxen and fat cattle by the stone of Zahaleth, which is by the in Rogel, and called all his brethren, the king's son, and all the men of Judah, the king's servants. But Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah, and the mighty men, and Solomon his brother, he called not. So he called everybody. He called all the servants, all of his other brothers, and except for Nathan, Benaiah, Solomon, and the mighty men of King David, he didn't call any of them, and Shimei. Salaki, there's one more, and Rai. He didn't call them, he called everybody else. And Adonijah slew sheep and oxen. Okay, I read that one. Verse 11, Salaki. Wherefore Nathan spake unto Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, saying, hast thou not heard that Adonijah, the son of Haggith, doth reign, and David our Lord knoweth it not? He telling her, like, Bathsheba, did you know that Adonijah is saying that he the king now? And King David don't know that. Did you know that? Were you aware of this? Verse 12, now therefore come, let me, I pray thee, give thee counsel, that they mayest save thine own life, that thou mayest save thy own life, and the life of thy son Solomon. Go and get thee in unto King David, and say unto him, didst not thou, my lord, O king, swear unto thine handmaid, saying, assuredly, Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne. Why then doth Adonijah reign? Behold, while thou yet talkest there with the king, I also will come in after thee, and confirm thy words. And Bathsheba went in unto the king into the chamber, and the king was very old, and Abishag the Shunammite, ministered unto the king. And Bathsheba bowed and did obeisance unto the king, showed respect. And the king said, what wouldest thou? And she said unto him, my lord, thou swearest by the Lord thy God unto thy handmaid, saying, assuredly, Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne. Now she is another sister that she followed exactly what Nathan the prophet told her to do. She went humbly unto the king and told him the exact words. Verse 18, and now, behold, Adonijah reigneth, and now, my lord the king, thou knowest it not. And he hath slain oxen and fat cattle and sheep in abundance, and hath called all the sons of the king, and Abiathar the priest, and Joab the captain of the host. But Solomon thy servant hath he not called. So she telling him he left his brother out. He called all the other sons, your other sons, the captain of the host. He called Abiathar the priest, but he didn't call Solomon. Why is that? So she said, and thou, my lord, O king, the eyes of all Israel are upon thee, that thou shouldest tell them who shall sit on the throne of my Lord the king after him. Because again, King David had not made a public announcement to say who it was that was going to reign after him. He didn't make the public announcement. So it was not set in stone that his son Adonijah was going to be the king. Verse 21, otherwise it shall pass, let me see. Otherwise it shall come to pass when my Lord the king shall sleep with his fathers, that I and my son Solomon shall be counted offenders. So she knew that if King David let Adonijah just continue to proclaim himself to be king, that it was going to be consequences for her and Solomon, because he didn't even invite Solomon to the party to announce himself to be king. So she knew that there was going to be an issue. All right, verse 22. And lo, while she yet talked with the king, Nathan the prophet also came in. And they told the king, saying, behold, Nathan the prophet. And when he was come in before the king, he bowed himself before the king with his face to the ground. And Nathan said, my lord, O king, hast thou said, Adonijah shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne? For he is gone down this day, and hath slain oxen and fat cattle and sheep in abundance, and hath called all the king's son and captains of the host, and Abiathar the priest. And behold, they eat and drink before him, and say, God save King Adonijah. But me, even thy servant, and Zadok the priest, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and thy servant Solomon, hath he not called? Is this thing done by my lord the king, and thou hast not showed it unto thy servant, who should sit on the throne of my lord the king after him? He's asking, is this something that you did, King David? Is this something that you called to be? Did you allow this to be? Yeah, I need to know. I would like to know if I could, sir. How we talk here in the ISUPK. Is this how it is? I don't want to like it, sir. Is this your order? This is what you put in place? Verse 28. Then King David answered and said, call me Bathsheba. And she came into the king's presence and stood before the king. And the king sware and said, as the Lord liveth, that hath redeemed my soul out of all distress, even as I swear unto thee by the Lord God of Israel, saying, assuredly, Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne in my stead. Even so will I certainly do this day. Then Bathsheba bowed with her face to the earth and did reverence the king and said, let my Lord King David live forever. Verse 32. And King David said, call me Zadok the priest, and Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada. And they came before the king. The king also said unto them, take with you the servants of your Lord, and cause Solomon my son to ride upon mine own mule, and bring him down to Gihon. And let Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet anoint him there king over Israel. And blow ye with the trumpet and say, God save King Solomon. Then ye shall come up after him, that he may come and sit upon my throne, for he shall be king in my stead. And I have appointed him to be ruler over Israel and over Judah. And Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, answered the king and said, Amen. The Lord God of my Lord the king say so too. And the Lord has been with my Lord the king, even so to be he with Solomon. and make his throne greater than the throne of my Lord King David. So Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada and the Cherethites and the Pelethites went down and caused Solomon to ride upon King David's mule and brought him to Gihon. And Zadok the priest took an horn of oil out of the tabernacle and anointed Solomon. And they blew the trumpet, and all the people said, God save King Solomon. And all the people came up after him, and the people piped with pipes and rejoiced with great joy, so that the earth rent with the sound of them. Now, this was how the throne or the steed of being king was passed down. It had to be anointed by the prophet of the king and by priests. Adonijah didn't have that. Adonijah didn't do any of that. Now, he had a priest with him. He made himself, he's proclaimed himself to be the king, but he didn't get anointed by the prophet Nathan or by the priest that the King David appointed to do it. He didn't have any of that. So therefore, his reign or his ruling rulership meant nothing. It was not publicly made by the king. And this is how it was done. Verse 41, and Adonijah and all the guests that were with him heard it, as they had made of an end of eating. And when Joab heard the sound of the trumpet, he said, wherefore is this noise of the city being in an uproar? And while he yet spake, behold, Jonathan the son of Abiathar the priest came. And Adonijah said unto him, come in, for thou art a valiant man, and bring us good tidings. And Jonathan answered and said to Adonijah, verily our Lord King David hath made Solomon king, and the king hath sent him with Zadok the priest, and Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and the Cherethites, and the Pelethites, and they have caused him to ride upon the king's mule. And Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet have anointed him king in Gihon. And they are coming up from thence rejoicing, so that the city rang again. This is the noise that ye have heard. And also Solomon sitteth on the throne of the kingdom. And moreover, the king's servant came to bless our Lord King David, saying, God make the name of Solomon better than thy name, and make his throne greater than thy throne. And the king bowed himself upon the bed. And also, thus said the king, blessed be the Lord God of Israel, which hath given one to sit on my throne this day, mine eyes even seeing it. He's saying, I'm blessed to be able to see the next king. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Verse 49, and all the guests that were with Adonijah were afraid and rose up and went every man his way. I would have left too. I would have got up out of there. Because point of the matter is, they understand now, well, what Adonijah told us about him being king, that's false. And if the king hear about us being here, we could all be killed. If Solomon hear about any of us being here, we could all be put to death for what we have done. Verse 50. And Adonijah feared because of Solomon, and arose and went and caught hold on the horns of the altar. And it was told Solomon, saying, behold, Adonijah feared King Solomon. For lo, he hath caught hold on the horns of the altar, saying, let King Solomon swear unto me today that he will not slay his servant with the sword. And Solomon said, if he will show himself a worthy man, there shall not a hair on him fall to the earth. But if wickedness shall be found in him, he shall die. So King Solomon sent, and they brought him down from the altar, and And he came and bowed himself to King Solomon. And Solomon said unto him, Go to thy house. 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 1. Now the days of David drew nigh that he should die. And he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man. And keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes, and his commandments, and his judgments, and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and whithersoever thou turnest thyself, that the Lord may continue his word which he spake concerning me, saying, If thy children take heed to their way, to walk before me in truth with all their heart and with all their soul, there shall not fail thee, said he, a man on the throne of Israel. Moreover, thou knowest also what Joab, the son of Zeruiah, did to me, and what he did to the captains of the host of Israel, unto Abner, the son of Ner, and unto Amasa, the son of Jether, whom he slew, and shed the blood of war in peace, and put the blood of war upon his girdle that was about his loins, and in his shoes that were on his feet. Do therefore according to thy wisdom, and let not his whore head go down to the grave in peace. But shew kindness unto the son of Barzillai, the Gileadite, and let them be of those that eat at thy table. For so they came to me when I fled because of Absalom thy brother. And behold, thou hast with thee Shemaiah, the son of Gera, a Benjamite of Behurim, which cursed me with a grievous curse in the day when I went to Mahanaim. But he came down to meet me at Jordan, and I swear to him by the Lord, saying, I will not put thee to death with the sword. Now therefore hold him not guiltless, for thou art a wise man, and knowest what thou oughtest to do unto him. But his hoard head bring thou down to the grave with blood. So David slept with his fathers, and was buried in the city of David. And the days that David reigned over Israel were 40 years. 7 years reigned he in Hebron, and 33 years reigned he in Jerusalem. Then sat Solomon upon the throne of David his father, and his kingdom was established greatly. And Adonijah, the son of Haggith, came to Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon. And she said, Comest thou peaceably? And he said, Peaceably. She asked him, you coming in peace, or you coming for some other reason? And the brother said, he's coming in peace. He said, Moreover, I have somewhat to say unto thee. And she said, Say on. And he said, Thou knowest that the kingdom was mine, and that all Israel set their faces on me, that I should reign. Howbeit the kingdom is turned about, and has become my brother's, for it was his from the Lord. And now I ask one petition of thee, deny me not. And she said unto him, Say on. And he said, Speak, I pray thee, unto Solomon the king, for he will not say thee nay, that he give me Abishag the Shunammite to wife. That's the one that King David did not wife, that they brought in to keep him warm, or to give him warmth while he was in his old age on his deathbed. So he's asking for her to be his wife. Verse 18, and Bathsheba said, well, I will speak for thee unto the king. Bathsheba therefore went unto King Solomon to speak unto him for Adonijah. And the king rose up to meet her and bowed himself unto her and sat down on his throne and caused the seat to be set for the king's mother. She sat on his right hand. Then she said, I desire one small petition of thee. I pray thee, say me not nay. And the king said unto her, ask on, my mother, for I will not say thee nay. And she said, let Abishag the Shunammite be given to Adonijah, thy brother, to wife. King Solomon answered and said unto his mother, and why doest thou ask Abishag the Shunammite for Adonijah? Ask for him the kingdom also, for he is mine elder brother, even for him, and for Abiathar the priest, and for Joab the son of Zeruiah. Then King Solomon sware by the Lord, saying, God do so to me, and more also, if Adonijah has not spoken this word against his own life. Now therefore, as the Lord liveth, which hath established me, and set me on the throne of David my father, and who hath made me an house, as he promised, Adonijah shall be put to death this day. And King Solomon sent by the hand of Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, and he fell upon him that he died. I guess that was a bad axe. To ask him for the hand of Abishag, it was I guess that was an offense to King Solomon. Verse 26. And unto Abiathar the priest said the king, get thee to Anathoth unto thine own fields, for thou art worthy of death. But I will not at this time put thee to death, because thou bearest the ark of the Lord God before David my father, and because thou hast been afflicted in all wherein my father was afflicted. So Solomon thrust out Abiathar from being priest unto the Lord, that he might fulfill the word of the Lord, which he spake concerning the house of Eli in Shiloh. Then tidings came to Joab, for Joab had turned after Adonijah, though he turned not after Absalom. And Joab fled unto the tabernacle of the Lord, and caught hold of the horns of the altar. So like verse 29. And it was told King Solomon that Joab was fled into the tabernacle of the Lord. And behold, he is by the altar. Then Solomon sent Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, saying, go fall upon him. Benaiah was that dude. That was his, so to speak, his hitman. That was his shooter. And Benaiah came to the tabernacle of the Lord and said unto him, thus saith the king, come forth. And he said, nay, but I will die here. And Benaiah brought the king word again, saying, thus said Joab, and thus he answered me. And the king said unto him, do as he hath said, and fall upon him, and bury him, that thou mayest take away the innocent blood which Joab shed from me, and from the house of my father. And the Lord shall return his blood upon his own head, who fell upon two men more righteous and better than he, and slew them with the sword. My father David, not knowing thereof, to wit, Abner the son of Ner, captain of the host of Israel, and Amasa the son of Jether, captain of the host of Judah.
Their blood shall therefore return upon the head of Joab and upon the head of his seed forever. But upon David and upon his seed and upon his house and upon his throne shall there be peace forever from the Lord. So Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, went up and fell upon him and slew him, and he was buried in his own house in the wilderness. And the king put Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, in his room over the host, and Zadok the priest did the king put in the room of Abiathar. So they took the office of these are the offices that they took. Zadok became the priest for King David, for King Solomon, and Benaiah became the captain over the host. Verse 36. And the king sent and called for Shimei and said unto him, Build thee an house in Jerusalem, and dwell there, and go not forth thence any whither. Don't go anywhere. For it shall be that on the day that thou goest out and passest over the brook Kidron, thou shalt know for certain that thou shalt surely die. Thy blood shall be upon thine own head. And Shimei said unto the king, The saying is good. As my lord the king hath said, so will thy servant do. And Shimei dwelled in Jerusalem many days. And it came to pass at the end of 3 years that two of the servants of Shimei ran away unto Achish, son of Micaiah, king of Gath. And they told Shimei, saying, Behold, thy servants be in Gath. Shimei arose and saddled his ass and went to Gath, to Achish, to seek his servants. Shimei went and brought his servants from Gath. And it was told Solomon that Shimei had gone from Jerusalem to Gath and was come again. And the king sent and called for Shimei and said unto him, Did I not make thee to swear by the Lord and protest unto thee, saying, Know for certain on the day that thou goest out and walkest abroad anywhere, that thou shalt surely die? And thou sayest unto me, The word that I have heard is good. Why then hast thou not kept the oath of the Lord and the commandment that I have charged thee with? Like it. Give me a second, y'all. Hey, Shalom, you ever start? So I'm teaching class. All right, every day tomorrow. All right, I'll call you when I'm done. All right, Shalom, you ever start. Salaki, y'all. All right, where we left off at? Verse 44. The king said, moreover, to Shimei, Thou knowest all the wickedness which with thine heart is privy to, that thou didst to David, my father. Salaki. Therefore, the Lord shall return thy wickedness upon thine own head, and King Solomon shall be blessed, and the throne of David shall be established before the Lord forever. So the king commanded Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, which went out and fell upon him, that he died. And the kingdom was established in the hand of Solomon. Solomon, a lot of people don't realize, but in the beginning, Solomon was no nonsense. Solomon didn't play any games when it came to the orders that his father gave him concerning these men. These men committed offenses against King David And some of them King David had mercy on and gave them the benefit of the doubt to not, have them fell on. And some of them was just, and King David gave them mercy to not be fell on during that time, and told Solomon, don't fall on them unless that, whatever happened, give them the benefit of the doubt, but you'll know what to do out of your own wisdom. Out of the wisdom that the Lord gives you, you'll know how to handle those men. And Solomon handled them accordingly and gave them opportunity to live. In some cases, like Joab was supposed to die for what he did to those men. Shemaiah, he gave him leeway, bro. All you got to do is stay in Jerusalem. Just don't leave. Don't let nobody see you leaving Jerusalem. You can't leave the city. If you do, then you're going to die. 3 years after he told him, after he gave him the oath, he disobeyed. So he had to suffer the punishment of what he had done. All right, so chapter 3. And Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into the city of David until he had made an end of building his own house and the house of the Lord and the wall of Jerusalem round about. Only the people sacrificed in high places, because there was no house built unto the name of the Lord until those days. And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in his statutes, in the statutes of David, his father. Only his sacrifice and burnt incense in high places. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar. In Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, ask what I shall give thee. And Solomon said, thou hast showed unto thy servant David, my father, great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept from him for him his great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. And now, O Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David, my father. And I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. See, Solomon being real humble as he's speaking to the Lord. He's not being haughty or forward or have his mindset that he want to do what he want to do. His mindset is to be humble when speaking to the Lord. He understands the humility. He is giving the Lord glory for all the things that he has blessed his father with, and for allowing King David to be able to have a son that actually still sits on the throne as the king of Israel. Verse 9, give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge? For who is able to judge this, thy so great a people? And the speech pleased the Lord, that Solomon had asked this thing. And God said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither has asked riches for thyself, nor has asked the life of thine enemies, but has asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to the words, to thy words, lo, I have given thee a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. And I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days. And if thou wilt walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as thy father David did walk, then I will lengthen thy days. And Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and offered up burnt offerings and offered peace offerings, and made a feast to all his servants. Then came there 2 women that were harlots unto the king, and stood before him. And the one woman said, O my Lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the 3rd day after that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also, and we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save we 2 in the house. And this woman's child died in the night, because he overlaid it. She overlaid it. I forgot what it's called, when she smothered the child. Basically, she laid on him and smothered, is what she said. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me, while thine handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. And when I arose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. Then when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son which I did bear. And the other woman said, Nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, No, but the dead is thy son, and the living is my son. Thus they spake before the king. Then said the king, The one saith, This is my son that liveth, and thy son is the dead. And the other saith, Nay, but thy son is the dead, and my son is the living. And the king said, Bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, Divide the living child in 2, and give half to the one, and half to the other. Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, O my Lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, Let it be neither mine nor thine, but divided. Then the king answered and said, Give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king has judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to do judgment. That's a heavy story, man. It's always been a heavy and powerful judgment that King Solomon did after receiving that wisdom and understanding from the Lord. Because on the one hand, the woman that didn't give a damn about the child, that just wanted the living child, she didn't care whether the baby was killed and split in 2. Then both of their children would have been dead. She didn't give a damn, and King Solomon understood and knew that the mother of this child would have compassion for it, would want their child to live. So therefore, he knew by saying that he would slay the child and split him in half, he knew that the real mother would be the one that would plead for the child. That was excellent. And that's why, like you said, all Israel heard the judgment and feared the king. Because at that point, they knew that King Solomon was a wise king, a wise and very understanding king. Heavy precepts, man. Chapter 4. So King Solomon was king over all Israel. And these were the prince which he had: Azariah, the son of Zadok the priest, Elihoreph, and Ahiah, the sons of Shishah, scribes, Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahilud, the recorder, and Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was over the host, and Zadok and Abiathar were the priests, and Azariah, the son of Nathan, was over the officers, and Zabad, the son of Nathan, was principal officer, and the king's friend, and Ahashar was over the household, and Adoniram, the son of Abda, was over the tribute. And Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel, which provided victuals for the king and his household. Each man his month in a year made provision. And these are the names, the sons of Hur in Mount Ephraim, the son of Dekar in Makaz, and in Sha'albim and Beth Shemesh, and Elon Beth Hanan. All right. Verse 10, the son of Hesed in Arubath. To him pertained Succoth and all the land of Hepher, the son of Abinadab, in all the reign of Salaki, in all the region of Dor, which had Taphath, the daughter of Solomon, to wife. Baana, the son of Ahilud, to him pertained Tanakh and Megiddo, and all Bethshem, which is by Zartanah, beneath Jezreel, from Bethshem to Abel Mahala, even unto the place that is beyond Jochanim, the son of Geber in Ramoth Gilead. To him pertain the towns of Jair, the son of Manasseh, which are in Gilead. To him also pertain the reign of Argob, which is in Bashan, 80 great cities with walls and brazen bars. Ahinadab, the son of Idu had Mahanaim. Ahamaz was in Naphtali. He also took Basmath, the daughter of Solomon, to wife. Baanah, the son of Hashuai, was in Asher and in Aloth. Jehoshaphat, the son of Paruah, in Issachar. Shemai, the son of Elah, in Benjamin. Geber, the son of Uri, was in the country of Gilead, in the country of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and of Og, king of Bashan. And he was the only officer which was in the land. Verse 20, Judah and Israel were many, as the sand which is by the sea in multitude, eating and drinking and making merry. So that the kingdom was actually in peace. They were happy. And Solomon reigned over all kingdoms, from the river unto the land of the Philistines and unto the border of Egypt. They brought presents and served Solomon all the days of his life. And Solomon's provision for one day was 30 measures of fine flour and 80 measures of meal, 10 fat oxen, 20 oxen out of the pastures, and 100 sheep, beside harts and roebucks and fallow deer and fattened fowl. For he had dominion over all the region on this side the river, from Tipash to Basah, even to Azah, over all the kings on this side of the river. And he had peace on all sides round about him. And Judah and Israel dwelt safely, even every man under his vine and under his fig tree, from Dan even to Beersheba, all the days of Solomon. And Solomon had 40,000 stalls of horses for his chariots and 12,000 horsemen. And those officers provided victuals for King Solomon and for all that came unto King Solomon's table, every man in his mouth. So like in his month, they lacked nothing. Barley also and straw for the horses and dromedaries brought they unto the place where the officers were, every man according to his charge. And God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding exceeding much, and largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the seashore. And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east country, and all the wisdom of Egypt. For he was wiser than all men, than Ethan, the Ezrahite, and Haman, and Kokol, and Darda, the sons of Mahol. And his fame was in all nations round about. And he spake 3,000 proverbs, and his sons were 1,005. And he spake of trees, from the cedar tree that is in Lebanon, even unto the hyssop that springeth out of the wall. He spake also of beasts and of fowls, and of creeping things and fishes. And there came of all people to hear the wisdom of Solomon, from all kings of the earth, which had heard of his wisdom. Chapter 5. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants unto Solomon, for he had heard that they had anointed him king in the room of his father, for Hiram was ever a lover of David. And Solomon sent to Hiram, saying, Thou knowest how that David my father could not build an house unto the name of the Lord his God, for the wars which were about him on every side, until the Lord put them under the soles of his feet. He's saying that you know that my father, King David, couldn't build the Lord a temple because of all of the enemies that were round about. Verse 4, But now the Lord my God hath given me rest on every side, so that there is neither adversary nor evil occurrent. And behold, I propose to build an house unto the name of the Lord my God, as the Lord spake unto David my father, saying, Thy son, whom I will set upon thy throne in thy room, he shall build an house unto my name. Now therefore command thou that they hew me cedar trees out of Lebanon, and my servants shall be with thy servants, and unto thee will I give hire for thy servants according to all that thou shalt appoint. For thou knowest that there is not among us any that can skill to hew timber like unto the Sidonians. And it came to pass when Hiram heard the words of Solomon that he rejoiced greatly and said, Blessed be the Lord this day, which hath given unto David a wise son over this great people. And Hiram sent to Solomon, saying, I have considered the things which thou sentest to me, and I will do all thy desire concerning timber of cedar and concerning timber of fir. My servants shall bring them down from Lebanon unto the sea, and I will convey them by sea in floats unto the place that thou shalt appoint me, and will cause them to be discharged there. And thou shalt receive them, and thou shalt accomplish my desire in giving food for my household. He's saying that King David was going to pay him to do the tree work that only his men were able to do, which is heavy, man. That's what's up. Verse 10. So Hiram gave Solomon cedar trees and fir trees according to all his desire. And Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 measures of wheat for food to his household and 20 measures of pure oil. Thus gave Solomon to Hiram year by year. So he paid him in trade. And the Lord gave Solomon wisdom as he promised him. And there was peace between Hiram and Solomon. And they too made a league together. And King Solomon raised a levy out of all Israel. And the levy was 30,000 men. And he sent them to Lebanon, 10,000 a month by courses. A month they were in Lebanon, and 2 months at home. And Adoniram was over the levy. And Solomon had 70,000 that bear burdens, and 80,000 hewers in the mountains, beside the chiefs of Solomon's officers, which were over the work, 3,300 which ruled over the people that wrought in the work. And the king commanded, and they brought great stones, costly stones, and huge stones to lay the foundation of the house. And Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders did hew them, and the stone squares, so they prepared timber and stones to build the house. So they're building the temple of the Lord. King David has hired on Hiram's men and paying them through trade. And he has gathered the men of Israel as well, and those men, his officers that are over them, to oversee the work that the temple can be built the way that Solomon sees. So, chapter 6. And it came to pass in the 480th year after the children of Israel were come out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month Ziph, which is the 2nd month, that he began to build the house of the Lord. And the house which King Solomon built for the Lord, the length thereof was 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 20 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits, and the porch before the temple of the house 20 cubits was the length thereof, according to the breadth of the house, and 10 cubits was the breadth thereof before the house. And for the house he made windows of narrow lights, and against the walls of the house he built chambers round about. Against the walls of the house round about, both of the temple and of the oracle, and he made chambers round about. The nethermost chamber was 5 cubits broad, and the middle was 6 cubits broad, and the third was 7 cubits broad. For without in the wall of the house he made narrow rest round about, that the beams should not be fastened in the walls of the house. And the house, when it was in building, was built of stone made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was in building. So they did all of the work outside before or outside of bringing it to the temple, before they actually brought it to the temple. Verse 8, the door of the middle chamber was in the right side of the house, and they went up with winding stairs into the middle chamber, and out of the middle into the third. So he built the house and finished it, and covered the house with beams and boards of cedar. And then he built chambers against all of the house, 5 cubits high, and they rested on the house with timber of cedar. And the word of the Lord came to Solomon, saying, concerning this house which thou art in building, if thou wilt walk in my statutes and execute my judgments and keep all my commandments to walk in them, then will I perform my word with thee, which I spake unto David thy father. And I will dwell among the children of Israel and will not forsake my people Israel. So Solomon built the house and finished it. And he built the walls of the house wherewith with boards of cedar, both the floor of the house and the walls of the ceiling. And he covered them on the inside with wood, and covered the floor of the house with planks of fir. And he built 20 cubits on the sides of the house, both the floor and the walls with boards of cedar. He even built them with for it within, even for the oracle, even for the most holy place. And the house, that is, the temple before it, was 40 cubits long. And the cedar of the house within was carved with nopes and open flowers. All was cedar. There was no stone seen. And the oracle he prepared in the house within, to set there the ark of the covenant of the Lord. And the oracle in the forepart was 20 cubits in length, and 20 cubits in breadth, and 20 cubits in height thereof. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and so covered the altar, which was of cedar. So Solomon overlaid the house within with pure gold, and he made a partition by the chains of gold before the oracle, and he overlaid it with gold. This wasn't bad temple, man. I mean, if y'all really like think about the construction that they did on the temple, it's immaculate. It's beautiful. Like I know they have like images of somebody has drawn or what they believe that it looked like, but you can't even imagine. It was made stone outside. Everything was stone, so it had a solid foundation. And then he laid cedar wood, which is strong, beautiful wood, and the fir on the fir wood or from the fir tree on the floor. So he had hardwood floors from real wood, real trees, the cedar walls and ceilings throughout. It was immaculate. And then he overlaid many parts of it with pure gold. That's how you honor the Lord, man. That's how you just show that's the Lord blessed Solomon to be extremely wealthy. He had everybody paying tribute to him every month. So he had everything that he needed. The Lord said he gave him riches that he didn't ask for because he asked for wisdom and understanding. So Solomon was very wealthy and overlaid the altar and foremost parts of the temple in pure gold. Pure gold. Now y'all think about that, about these other nations that ransacked Israel and say that they don't know where these items are that's from the temple and all of that. Those items are right now underneath or in the Vatican in Europe over there. They have the Queen of England and all of them. They have all of those artifacts in gold from the nation of Israel. It's crazy, man. Most High in Christ, Barakatah Yahweh Yahweh Shai for this truth, man. Verse 23. And within the oracle, Salaki. And within the oracle, he made the cherubs of olive tree, which each 10 cubits high, and 5 cubits was the one wing of the cherub, and 5 cubits of the other wing of the cherub. From the uttermost part of the one wing unto the uttermost part of the other were 10 cubits. Verse 25. And the other cherub was 10 cubits. Both the cherubims were of one measure and one size. The height of the one cherub was 10 cubits, and so was it of the other cherub. And he set the cherubims within the inner house, and they stretched forth the wings of the cherubims, so that the wing of the one touched the one wall, and the wing of the other cherub touched the other wall, and their wings touched one another in the midst of the house. That is huge. And he overlaid the cherubims with gold again. And he carved all the walls of the house round about with carved figures of cherubims and palm trees and open flowers within and without. And the floor of the house he overlaid with gold, within and without, inside and out. Good night. That's a lot of gold, man. 31. And for the entering of the oracle, he made doors of olive tree, and lintel and side posts were a fifth part of the wall. The two doors also were of olive tree, and he carved upon them carvings of cherubims and palm trees and open flowers, and overlaid them with gold, and spread gold upon the cherubims and upon the palm trees. So also made he for the door of the temple post of olive tree, a fourth part of the wall. And the two doors were a fir tree, and were a fir tree. The two leaves of the one door were folding, and the two leaves of the other door were folding. And he carved thereon cherubims and palm trees and open flowers, and carved them with gold, and covered them with gold fitted upon the carved work. And he built the inner court with 3 rows of huge stone and a row of cedar beams. In the 4th year was the foundation of the house of the Lord laid, in the month Ziph. And in the 11th year, in the month of Bul, which is the 8th month, was the house finished throughout all the parts thereof, and according to all the fashion of it, so was he 7 years in building it. It took him 7 years to build the house of the Most High, the temple of the Lord, that the Lord told King David that he would actually build. And a large part of the house is stone, cedar tree, fir tree, and gold. It is amazing. Just imagine that in the kingdom of heaven, man, that we have an actual temple, that they build a temple in which for the Lord. And just imagine, man, like the kingdom of heaven will be paved with streets of gold. He built pretty much the whole temple of the Lord, gold everywhere. Imagine walking on streets of gold, and it is the norm. Like the pavement and the concrete that we have outside our homes and in our neighborhoods, you can't even fathom it being pure gold. You can't even imagine that. That in itself is almost unimaginable. That's why the scriptures say eyes have not seen, ears have not heard what the Lord has for us. He said that there are many mansions in my Father's house, but most of us can't even imagine a place with many mansions, because we've never really seen mansions unless you've seen it on TV in Hollywood or something like that. But like I know in Florida, where I'm from, there's neighborhoods that are, big mansion neighborhoods, but I don't even think that those houses or those mansions compare to that which the Lord has for Israel. Man, just walking in his statutes and his commandments, keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments that the Lord has set for his people, the reward is great, y'all. It's great. All right, chapter 7. This is the last chapter we're going to read for the day, y'all. 1 Kings chapter 7 and verse 1. But Solomon was building his own house 13 years, and he finished all his house. He built also the house of the forest of he built also the house of the forest of Lebanon. The length thereof was 100 cubits, and the breadth thereof 50 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits, upon 4 rows of cedar pillars, with cedar beams upon the pillars. And when y'all think about this, cedar trees are amazingly big trees. They're huge. Cedar trees can grow. I've actually seen, was it a cedar? I know in like Florida, they have trees that are like, I forgot the length. They're like, I don't know if it's 100. They got like 100 feet trees in Florida. They have like a actual forest in Florida where the trees are like extremely tall, and they are very abnormally tall. Just unimagine. I mean, not unimagine. Just imagine the length of a cedar tree that he's talking about. They had to be some of the biggest trees that you could think of. Wide in length, wide in width and long and tall in length. Verse 3. And it was covered with cedar above upon the beams, that lay of 45 pillars, 15 in a row. And there were windows in 3 rows, and light was against light in the 3 ranks. And all the doors and posts were square with the windows, and light was against light in 3 ranks. And he made a porch of pillars. The length thereof was 50 cubits, and the breadth thereof 30 cubits. And the porch was before them, and the other pillars and the thick beam were before them. Then he made a porch for the throne where he might judge, even a porch of judgment, and it was covered with cedar from one side of the floor to the other. And his house where he dwelt had another court within the porch, which was of the like of work. Solomon made also an house for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had taken to wife, like unto this porch. All these were of costly stones, according to the measures of hewed stones, saw the saws, within and without, even from the foundation unto the coping, and so on the outside toward the great court. And the foundation was of costly stones, even great stones, stones of 10 cubits, and stones of 8 cubits, and above were costly stones after the measure of hewed stones and cedars. And the great court round about was with three rows of hewed stones, and a row of cedar beams, both for the inner court of the house of the Lord and for the porch of the house. And King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre. He was a widow's son. He was a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali. And his father was a man of Tyre, a worker in brass. And he was filled with wisdom and understanding and cunning to work all works of brass. So he was amazing with brass, like welders and stuff like that. He was an amazing brass worker. And he came to King Solomon and wrought all his work. For he cast 2 pillars of brass of 18 cubits high apiece, and a line of 12 cubits did compass either of them about. And he made 2 capiters of molten brass to set upon the tops of the pillars. The height of the one capiter was 5 cubits, and the height of the other capiter was 5 cubits. And nets of checker work, and wreaths of chain work for the capiters, which were upon the tops of the pillars, 7 for one capiter and 7 for the other capiter. And he made the pillars and 2 rows round about upon the one network to cover the capiters that were upon the top with pomegranates, and so did he for the other capiter. And the capiters that were upon the top of the pillars were of lily work in the porch, 4 cubits. And the capiters upon the 2 pillars, and pomegranates also above, over against the belly, which was by the network, and the pomegranates were 200 in rows round about upon the other capiter. Excuse me. And he set up the pillar in the porch of the temple, and he set up the right pillar and called the name thereof Jachin. And he set up the left pillar and called the name thereof Boaz. And upon the top of the pillars was lily work. So was the work of the pillars finished. And he made a molten sea, 10 cubits from the one brim to the other. It was round all about, and his height was 5 cubits, and a line of 30 cubits did compass it round about. And under the brim of it round about, there were nopes. There were nopes compassing it, 10 and a cubit, compassing the sea round about. The nopes were cast in 2 rows when it was cast. It stood upon 12 oxen, 3 looking toward the north, and 3 looking toward the west, and 3 looking toward the south, and 3 looking toward the east. And the sea was set above upon them, and all their hinder parts were inward. And it was a hand breadth thick, and the brim thereof was wrought like the brim of a cup, with flower of lilies. It contained 2,000 baths. Good night. And he made 10 bases of brass. 4 cubits was the length of one base, and 4 cubits the breadth thereof, and 3 cubits the height of it. And the work of the bases was on this manner. They had borders, and the borders were between the ledges. And on the borders that were between the ledges were lions, oxen, and cherubims. And upon the ledges there was a base above. And beneath the lions and oxen were certain additions made of thin work. And every base had 4 brazen wheels and plates of brass. And the 4 corners thereof had undersetters. Under the laver were undersetters molten at the side of every addition. And the mouth of it within the capiter and above was a cubit, but the mouth thereof was round after the work of the base, a cubit and a half, and also upon the mouth of it were gravings with their borders 80, not round. Verse 32, and under the borders were 4 wheels, and the axle trees of the wheels were joined to the base, and the height of the wheel was a cubit and a half of a cubit. And the work of the wheels was like the work of the chariot wheel. Their axle trees and their naves and their felloes and their spokes were all molten. And there were 4 undersetters to the 4 corners of one base, and the undersetters were a very base itself. A very base itself. And in the top of the base was there a round compass of half a cubit high. And on the top of the base, the ledges thereof and the borders thereof were of the same. For on the plates of the ledges thereof, and on the borders thereof, he graved cherubims, lions, and palm trees according to the proportion of every one, and additions round about. After this manner he made the 10 basins. All of them had one casting, one measure, and one size. Then made he 10 lavers of brass. One laver contained 40 baths, and every laver was 4 cubits, and upon every one of the 10 basins, one laver. And he put 5 bases on the right side of the house, and 5 on the left side of the house. And he set the sea on the right side of the house, eastward over against the south. And Hiram made lavers and the shovels and the basins. So Hiram made an end of doing all the work that he had made King Solomon of the house of the Lord. The 2 pillars and the 2 bowls of the capiters that were on the top of the 2 pillars, and the 2 networks to cover the 2 bowls of the capiters which were upon the top of the pillars, and 400 pomegranates for the 2 networks, even 2 rows of pomegranates for 1 network to cover the 2 bowls of the capiters that were upon the pillars, and the 10 bases and 10 lavers on the bases, 1 sea and 12 oxen under the sea, and the pots and the shovels and the basins and all the vessels which Hiram made to King Solomon for the house of the Lord were of bright brass. In the plain of Jordan did the king cast them in the clay ground between Succoth and Zarthan. And Solomon left all the vessels unweighed, because they were exceeding many, neither was the weight of the brass found out. And Solomon made all of the vessels that pertain unto the house of the Lord, the altar of gold, and the table of gold, whereupon the showbread was, and the candlestick of pure gold, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left, before the oracle, with the flowers and the lamps and the tongues of gold, and the bowls and the snuffers and the basins and the spoons and the censers of pure gold, and the hinges of gold, both for the doors of the inner house, the most holy place, and for the doors of the house, to wit, of the temple. So was ended all the work that King Solomon made for the house of the Lord. And Solomon brought in the things which David his father had dedicated, even the silver and the gold and the vessels did he put among the treasures of the house of the Lord. A majim, which means to stand. Upon hakodam, which means to turn and face the east. We're going to say the prayers, both in Hebrew and in English. First, the Lord's Prayer. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwaka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashamayim, Nathelanawa, Nakam, Ka, Yawam, Wasalaknawa, Kabawaknawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabawak Yanawa, Wala'ah, Tabaya Ayanawa, Banasayawan, Abal, Hawashayanawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahataparath, La'aywalamyam, Aman. In the English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever, so be it. Hakak, the power. In the Hebrew, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Baba Kashah, Nathan Lanawa, Hakak,
Hakak, Larapa'a, Ka Maka'ala, Wakal Manawa, Hakak, Latahar, Ha Matazarayam, Hakak, Lahakwayam, Ha Matayam, Hakak, Al Rakarath, Hatama'ala, Lagarshan, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, the Wada Aman. In the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahushai, thank you, so be it. Blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh, Wa Yahushai, Wa Makaya Allah, Wa Alahayim, Mataza Ba'a, Alawap Yahana, Ha Alawapyam, Ha Saranyam, Ha Kotazayanyan, Ha Kalayayan, Ha Kayayan Kalayalam, Waha Akwakim, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai, the Water Aman. In the English, bless you, Yahweh, and Yahushai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yahana, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, thank you, so be it. Psalms 121 in Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Al-Haharyam, Ma'ayan, Yaba'a, Azariah, Ma'ain, Yahweh, Asha, Shamayim, Wa'arataza, Al-Yathan, Lamawat, Regalka, Al-Yanawam, Shabarka, Hana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yayashan, Shawamar, Yasha'ala, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al-Yad, Yamyanka, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'a Yakaka, Wayarak, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Makal Rai, Yashamar, Athnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Taza'atka, Wabawa'aka, Ma'ait, Wa'id Awalam. In the English, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Psalms 83. Alahayam, Damayalaka, Al Takarash, Wa Al Tashikwat, Al Kayahana, Awayabyaka, Yahama, Yawam, Ra'ash, Al Amaka, Ya'ira, Yamwa, Sawada, Wayata, Ya'ai Tazawa, Al Tazapawanyaka, Amarwa, Lakawa, Wanakakidam, Magawa, Magawiya, Salakia, Wala'a, Yazakar, Sham Yasha'ala, Iwada, Kaya, Nawa'ai Tazawa, Laba, Yakadwa, Al Yaka, Baryath, Yakarwathwa, Ahalya, Adawam, Wa Yashimai, Allah, Al Layam, Mawa'aba,
Hagarium, Gabal, Imawan, Malak, Halasha, Yeshabia, Tazawar, Gam Ashawar, Nalawa, An, Hayawa, Zarawai, Labanya, Lawat, Salah, Aishalaham, Kamadian, Kasa Sa'ara, Kayabian, Banakal, Koyash, Koyashwan, Nashamadua, Bayan, Da'ara, Hayawa, Daman, La'a Dama, Shayatamwa, Nada Yab Mawa, Ka'irab, Wakaza Abba, Wakazabak, Wakaza Tazal, Mana'ai, Kal Nasayawa, Sakamwa, Ashar, Amarwa, Nayarasha, Lanawa, Na'awa, Alahayim, Alahaya, Shayatamwa, Kagalgala, Kakwash, Lapanya, Lapanya, Raraka, Ka'ash, Taba'ira, Ya'ira, Waka, Kalahaba, Talahat, Hariam, Kan, Tharadakma, Basa'iraka, Wabasa, Wapatka, Tabahalam, Ma'ala, Mala'a, Panyaham, Palawam, Waya, Bakwashwa, Shamka, Yahawa, Yabashwa, Waya, Bahalwa, Ayad, Waya Kaparwa, Waya Abadwa, Waya Da'aiwa, Kaya Ata, Shamka, Yahawa, Labadka, Al Yawam, Al Kal Ha Arataza. In the English, keep not thy silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites, of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gabal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot, Selah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zaid, yea, all their princes like Zabah and Zamunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. O my God, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fires burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Lord. Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the Most High over all the earth. Sar, which means to turn. Class dismissed.